Guys, it's Brett and I've got Ghost here and I'm gonna try. See, look at this. You're a thief. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. I'm trying to make this fast so he's good long enough for me to just tell you about my day. So, go see. I can't be mad at him because he's not trained because of me. Oh my gosh, my hair is insane right now. Can't be mad at him because he's not trained and it's my fault. So anyway, I crashed when I got home from work. I made some pico and then heated up some rice and beans and corn. So that was pretty good, except I tried to use, I think it's called an ancho chili. They're supposed to be less spicy than jalapenos. And I can't cut up jalapenos because I get like an insane, this is a dog treat, chemical burn on my hands. So I chopped that up and I still got like a burn, but it was really mild. And I've tried everything, like searched the internet far and wide to find out like how to stop it from burning. I must just have really sensitive skin, especially because it's dry this time of year, but that was pretty good. And I was gonna do more when I got home from work, but I'm just kind of tired. So the weather is still doing its thing. So I just want to be good long enough for me to talk to you. But the exciting thing is I did get auto pay set up for one of my student loans. The last one I don't have to start paying on until, the big doozy one I don't have to start paying on until March, but I will have to budget for it in February basically. But I wanted to just show you real quick, one of the things that's been like a huge lifesaver for me is, so I kind of budget all over the place. I've got a snowball tracker and I use YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget. That helps me like reconcile my bank account and keep track of like what I've spent versus what I've got left over, because my bank doesn't do like sinking funds. You can't like set it out. So I use YNAB for that. And then I have just like an Excel sheet that is kind of like a goal tracker, but it keeps me on top of like what I'm required to do and what I did at the end of the month kind of a thing. And that's the budget that I actually share with you guys regularly, is that goal tracker one. So I'm kind of all over the place, but I wanted to show you real quick something that I do on that goal tracker one that helps me have auto pay and use auto pay, because I used to be a mess when it came to like planning where my money was gonna go and budgeting, and I used to be so tight. Like I'm really, really blessed now. Like I'm so happy with my income. In fact, if it never went up from here, I would probably be able to manage and be just fine. But anyway, not the point. So if your money's really tight, or you're like me and you just really struggle with budgeting in general, what I've done is I've kind of categorized things based on which paycheck is responsible for that category. So let me just show you really, really fast. But once I figured out how to do this in a responsible way, because you can set whatever goals you want, but if they're not realistic, that's not fair to you and you're gonna just crash your budget. But Ghost, just 2 more seconds. But if you hopefully use this tip or use it in your own way, it might help you kind of expedite things and get a better handle on your budget faster. So let me just show you really quick.
Okay guys, so this is what we're looking at, and I know that I've shown this to you before, but this was like a life changer for me, so I hope that someone will watch this and you don't have to do it the exact same way that I do it, but if it helps you, or if it's part of the learning process and you use it for a while and then create your own thing, that's exactly why I'm talking about this now. So I have this whole column here called column C, and it's PD is what I labeled it, because I get paid on the 15th and the end of the month. And I used to get so tripped up on, I would set a budget, but then I would have a hard time keeping the budget because I couldn't allocate my funds appropriately based on when I got paid, especially when I was living paycheck to paycheck, like super duper could not afford the things that I had because of how low my income was. I was not living fancy. I just was in school and working very low paying jobs. Maybe some of you can relate. But what I've done is I've divvied all of these up based on when they're due or when I need the money and how can I afford to pay these categories. Like if all of these categories were people that needed to be paid, when are their due dates? So I'm just gonna quickly take you over to my YNAB that has everything labeled. So this is intense for someone who's never been in YNAB before, but here are my four walls, just like my Excel sheet, and I'll just go back real quick so you can see. See, here's my four walls, and then I've got my debt in exactly the same order because these you can click and drag these and move these. It's super duper nice. And here they are in the exact same order. So what I do is I reconcile with my bank account and then I get a big bucket that says to be budgeted right here. And I electronically through this software, well, I think it's called a web application. I don't want to get too technical. I really don't know what it's called, but it's cool. That's what I'll call it. Is it's super cool. And I found out about this before EveryDollar. So if you're using EveryDollar and it works for you, do it. Like this is not sponsored. I just found this first and I learned how to use it first and I have no desire to switch because I'm in love with it now. But my to be budgeted, so let's say I got my $1,400 or whatever, and I needed to divvy it up. So I don't have sinking funds, but a lot of these are on auto pay. Like my State Farm is on auto pay, my mobile gets automatically deducted. These are end of the month expenses. My Navient, I just got that set up. So starting next month, it'll be $53.33 auto paid to Navient on the 28th of every month. So I've already received my paycheck for the 15th and I just made a one-time online payment of $109.86. So I took that money from my to be budgeted and I don't know if you can see this, but it's at $0. I don't know if it'll record this or if I messed it all up, but anyway, this money is sitting here waiting. So this is how I reconcile with my bank account, but I'm gonna show you how I set all of this up and how I plan this because reconciling is really important, but I couldn't get past the planning stage. Like I would spend hours on a budget and then I wouldn't be able to execute it. So I'm trying to be concise, but also convincing that you should at least give this a try if you're struggling with executing your budget. So this one's a little complex because I do work in an office and I do work with Excel regularly. If you disagree, good for you. That just means that you have amazing Excel skills, good for you. But if you need help with this, I am more than happy to send you a blank copy of my budget via email and you can categorize it, or I can just walk you through some of the finer points if you have questions. But I've got everything categorized here based on what paycheck covers it. And then what I have down here, this is what I wanted to show you. So I'm sorry for all the backstory, but this is exactly what I wanted to show you down here. So I'm going to scroll up just a little bit, or down just a little bit. And I've got the 15th expenses and the end of the month expenses. And this is just a tally of my moving fund because it's a goal and it can come from either paycheck. But I wanted to have a goal set so that it would add into the total amount budgeted. So everything that gets paid on the 15th, and I'm just going to go up to the formula bar that is not included in this screencast and click on it, and it will show you everything that is allocated for the 15th is highlighted. That's what happens when you click the formula bar. So this is an equation that just adds up everything that I need to take care of with the 15th paycheck. So obviously, if I'm expecting to make around $2,800, I'm going to have money left over. This is about half of one of my paychecks. The same for the end of the month expenses. So I've selected the box where the formula is actually located, and then I'm going up to the formula bar and I'm just giving it one click. And there you go. Everything that's an end of the month expense is highlighted. And this is just a sum formula. So what you do is you would hit your equals button. You would type the word sum. You're going to need to start with a parenthesis if you're selecting. You're going to need to start with a parenthesis, and then you're going to select your first box. So let's say I'm just doing this is orange categories, my debt category. Let's say I'm just doing my debts for the 15th of the month. I'm going to select the first one, and then I have to hold down the control key, one click on the next one, still holding the control key, and I'm going to click the last one. Now I can let go of the control key. I can hit it with an end parenthesis, and if I hit enter, that is how that formula is created. And the best thing about this is I can make sure that I'm not overspending myself on the 15th. I'm not overspending myself on the end of the month. And that's nice that I get to include my moving, because you'll see that this box here is the exact same total that's in this box here. So I know everything's in line. But if I were to change anything, so let's say I wanted to pay $250 a month instead of $218, it changes the amount that's represented by the formula. So if I only get $500 a paycheck and I want to do something here, now I can't afford that. So I have to take from somewhere else in order to be able to afford that payment from that paycheck. And you can get really complex, and you can do formulas that have the sum, and then you add in half of one box, or maybe you have two separate cells to represent. For at one point when things were still a little bit on the tight side, I had one of my larger bills split up into two, where one was the end of the month and one was the 15th. And they had the exact same name, but on the 15th I could afford $200, and on the end of the month I could owe $400, and it was due at the end of the month, but I had to make darn sure that I didn't spend any of that money or put it somewhere else, that money that came from that first paycheck of the month. So let me know if you have questions. I have to undo all of this. I'll probably just exit out and not save it, because I don't want to mess anything up. But hopefully this helps someone. If you have any questions, or you want a blank copy of it would just send you 1 month's worth of a blank copy. You could save that, create a copy of that with a different title, maybe date it, and then play with that copy while you still have the original I sent you as like a virgin copy that's never been altered. There's so many things that you can do in Excel, and if you have software that works, keep using it. But if you want to understand why you might not be able to execute this budget thing beyond the behavior issue, sometimes just playing with the math can be a real eye-opener. So once I executed this and actually understood how I was allocating my money, each paycheck, that really, really opened up a lot of doors for me. So this is like way longer than I wanted it to be, but hopefully this helps somebody. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.